Hi, everybody, and happy Valentine's Day. Today is a Truth Tuesday, so I've got my buddy Satoshi Sean on the other side of this, and I'm just wondering what in the world is going on with all these balloons and trains. Are we in World War III and no one's just bothered to tell us? I want to know what Sean thinks too, so be right back right after this. Happy Valentine's Day, Sean.
Happy Valentine's Day. I didn't think you were bringing me in that fast.
Oh, sorry.
Hey, everybody.
Surprise.
It's weird. I didn't know we were going to talk about today, and I have a whole thing on this to talk about that I've been looking
About
into.
the trains and the balloons and stuff?
About the balloons. It's pretty scary. You do not know what I'm going to talk about.
Okay, so there's some information out there that I've been at school all day. Today's our co-op day. So I don't have the most current information. I know there was a briefing that basically what I gathered from it was that they really didn't give any more information than what the public already knew, which is there's a lot more balloons out there than they've been saying, and that they've been here for a long time, and that they are surveillance on us. Oh, goodness sakes. Sorry. My microphone or
CIA earpiece there.
My little CIA earpiece fell out. Yeah.
Getting a message.
Yes. That's who tells me what to say. Anyway, but I also heard a report over the weekend that there was one of the balloons in Mexico that they were saying that the balloons was transmitting a message or warning as they were going across the country. And then we see 3 that I know of these toxic train derailments that then are, and one of them, there was a report that one of the trains had exploded or was on fire before the derailment. And why are all 3 of the trains that were derailed hauling toxic chemicals or whatever? Seems like that could have been a target. So are we in World War III and it just hasn't been announced yet? I'm curious of what information you have, and I can pull up some stuff. I was watching Tucker had a great piece on it last night that I was watching about how many balloons were shot down that we know of so far. It was like 5 or 6. And then the 3 different train accidents. I don't know if everybody knows about those all now.
Why don't you talk about the train accidents?
So the first one that I know of was in Palestine, Ohio. And there's pictures of like these giant, it looked like a mushroom cloud of poison going up in the air. There's dead fish already and people reporting their pets are dying from the there's a bomb in an English town too that just exploded. That was Friday, February 10th, I guess. I'm just seeing the report of it. There's, what's the other? I was trying to find some of the video of the because there were all the Turkey earthquakes and stuff. Was that Friday? Yes, here's the Ohio. Let me share this real quick just so people can see. I mean, it's super toxic. Evacuation orders in place for people. The skies are just like black, and people are saying this is one of the worst disasters in U.S. history. And then they were, literally scientists are pulling like dead fish out of the streets. People are having trouble breathing, all this. And they're like, oh yeah, go ahead and drink your water. I mean, I'm sure their water's contaminated at this point. So they're quote Chernobyling Ohio is what they're saying. But then there was another one that happened in outside of Houston. And then this morning there was a third train derailment explosion. I'm not sure where that one was.
Not only did
that one I didn't get information on.
Shot down a foreign balloon in their slipped through the cracks.
But anyway, this was some visual from the earthquakes in Turkey, which I had talked about that with Jim Willie a little bit this weekend. I had an interview for my Patreon that was live. I was able to find a solution for that. Just a little side note. I created a password protected page on my website that's for my Patreon only. And there's instructions on Patreon for my patrons to access that page, where then you can go in and find. I had to cut the video up. It was so long. Jim had a lot of information, and it's in 5 different videos, but it's all on that page for you guys. So I'll be able to do things like that for you if you miss the live. And if you're not already a member of my Patreon, please consider supporting my work in the channel and becoming a member of Patreon so that you get those kind of benefits. Because there's no way I could have put that or left that on YouTube. Here was one of the quote UFOs that was seen in the sky that they were shooting down. That's them taking it, supposedly to be have analysis done on it. So I don't know if you have other information about the trains.
No, nothing on the trains. Stuff on the balloons. Interesting things you said, though, that this is, they've been here a while.
Mm-hmm.
Something they don't teach you in school, because we always have this thing that the United States has never been attacked. The mainland of the United States has never been attacked. No country, no matter how great or how huge of an empire, has ever attacked the United States of America on the United States mainland soil. Sneak attack of Pearl Harbor, it's Hawaii, it's far away. It's not the continental United States. That is not true. We have been attacked. We have been bombed by, I believe, the Nazis, the Japanese. I think that's it. But they did it with balloons. And this is, a long time ago. But it was, kind of crude that they would...
Was it chemical warfare? Like the bioweapon kind of thing?
No, I think they're just regular bombs. They're not very effective. Like they hit in fields, and because they were not able to really target well. They were, kind of set to go down and to crash. But they were over the United States. They did fly them, from there to here. But that has happened. So the United States has been attacked. It's always been with balloons. Balloons have been used, I grew up when I was a little kid up north, and we, I remember going on like field trips and hearing about battles and how they had, Hindenburgs or, blimps that were used in a lot of the battles in balloons, dropping, bombs and stuff on ships. So balloons have always been used. And to think that they're just kind of passe, or they're not. They have been, they've kept up with technology and what they've been doing. And one of the leaders in that is China. And they've done some things that are kind of scary. And I thought something was odd when everything was going on. It's went on Saturday Night Live. I wanted to use the clips, but I know I'll get hit for it. I do every time I mess with Saturday Night Live. But there was a briefing, and the general was such a smart ass. And this reporter was actually doing their job, and it wasn't like, who you would think. They were like, don't you think the American people have a right to know? And he goes, I think the American people have the right to look up. and see something.
And there's a movie called Look Up.
There is. And then on Saturday Night Live, they were making jokes about looking up. And
so that's that. What do they call it? That karma, where they have to like put it in your face or tell you about it so that they don't get the bad karma.
retribution
Because
karma.
then they, well, we told you it was happening.
But I thought that was odd how everybody was talking about looking, and it's not that odd because it's a joke. It's funny. It's a balloon, but there's no engines on them, usually not anything like major. And then remember I was talking to you about God's rods, or the rods of God.
Mm-hmm.
They're kinetic bombs, so they're not detectable because there's no warheads or anything. They're just solid, like metal bombs, and they have a devastating effect if they're super high. And the problem with getting them on a space platform is that it's very expensive to get up there with rocket fuel and everything. But if they're dropped from a super high balloon, like in the stratosphere, it's way above where planes can fly, way, way, way above where drones could ever reach. So they're really very difficult to detect. But they would be able to drop those kinetic bombs, just solid chunks of steel that would do devastating power, and have some devastating destruction. Hey, JV. Hey, everybody. Remember to crush the like button. But I'm going to go into a little bit more on my channel when we talk about this stuff. I got some big
Good.
news.
Okay.
I wanted to have more stuff ready to go, but it's I had a bad one.
I get it. Yeah, I'm sorry for you've got some terrible stuff going on in your family. So there's this article that Red Pill Bot put out, and it's a Forbes article. It says Iran says tall white space aliens control America. Documents leaked by NSA whistleblower Edward Snowden conclusively prove that the United States has been ruled by a race of tall white space aliens who also assisted the rise of Nazi Germany in the 30s. These revelations about our alien overlords might not cost you any sleep, but the part that should concern you is a tad that the UFO story was just published by the Fars News Agency, the English language news service of Iran, a nation that may be very close to acquiring nuclear weapons. This being a crazy conspiracy theory, naturally the Russians are behind it. The alleged alien invasion was revealed in an alleged report by Russia's FSB spy agency, which has found incontrovertible proof that an alien extraterrestrial intelligence agenda is driving the U.S. domestic and international policy, has been doing so since at least 1945.
Okay, stop.
Gotcha.
Please don't move the screen. How old is that article? Don't move the screen. You move the screen. That's a 10-year-old article.
January 13th, 2014.
10-year-old article. That's 10 years old.
Why does that matter?
Why does that matter? Well, it's 10 years old, so it's not new. But 10 years ago, that was nuts. In the past few years, the Air Force has admitted to UFOs. We're all but it's kind of like Area 51. It's slowly being admitted to when it's finally like, oh, this is Frank the alien. Everyone's gonna be like, oh, hello, Frank. Yeah, we saw your ships, and we're ready for it. Well,
even in the short thing over the weekend, it was one balloon on Friday, and by Sunday there was like, oh, there's been 5 of them, and everybody's over it. And they're like, yeah, it's probably fine.
I thought there was we shot down a flying saucer too.
That's what the video I was showing you, that they also, there was also that's what was on the back of that semi that they were driving.
So this is a 10-year-old story, but if you read it now, which it's weird that it's being shared now, it's not so crazy anymore. Just like if you read a story that Area 51 really exists,
right? When we were growing up, it was a mystery. Oh, that's, conspiracy. There's not really an Area
There wasn't a word
51.
though. The conspiracy theorist. Well, it wasn't invented
Right.
yet,
Well, it was invented in the 60s, wasn't it?
but it was widely used. It was really for Area 51.
Oh,
When people
okay.
would talk about it, it's like that's a conspiracy theory. You're a conspiracy theorist. That was literally the OG term for that. But
That's how they used to, so they would give disinformation and they would discredit and if that would and distract, and if that didn't work, then they would discredit whoever was giving the information.
so, if there are aliens, and it's weird they're using Overlord and stuff like that. I don't know if there's an alien agenda. Also, but there's so many things that don't make sense about it. And then, like, if they're here, it means they have interstellar travel. They're way advanced. Why do they give a shit? Why do they care? You know, maybe if they had crashed.
Says that their documents call for the final phase of their end of plan for total assimilation and world rule.
It would be. I'd rather have that, man. I'm so tired of all the BS and hey, look at this and look at that, and this is a hidden meaning. Just
Oh,
get it out.
listen to this.
You know?
This is saying that the U.S. government is embroiled in a cataclysmic power struggle between Obama, who heads the alien shadow government, and some unknown force that opposes the U.S. alien alliance. Most to be feared
by Russian policymakers and authorities. Huh. Those opposing the tall, white, secret regime.
Mhm.
Which that's just right before Trump and the MAGA movement came into.
Yeah.
It's weird when you read it.
It's weird when you read it knowing
years
when
ago,
it was
yeah.
written.
Because when I read this, I was like, this is 10 years old. Why is Lisa sending this to me? And then when I read it now, it's like I told you, when you read stuff, I told you, whenever you look at something, to look at it like this, like you're explaining it to someone who's an alien who hasn't been here, or to look at it like you're looking at it 20 years down the road, like it's history. And you're like, how could they not
But
see?
not in this present day.
How could they not see how this, I mean, how could they not, like, look at this Grammy thing? How could they not say that, Hollywood is all a bunch of devil worshippers? Why are they saying this is crazy?
Or that those people were in hazmat suits. The whites, they're saying now that the dancers or whatever were in white hazmat suits, and that they were like predictive linguistic, kind of like predicting these train derailments with all the toxic chemicals.
See, I'm just so tired of all that, man. I just let it come out. Let them say, hey, man, we're your overlords. We're going to do it. And then, okay, let's fight them. It's just, let's
just meet me in the street kind of thing.
Stop the subterfuge, man.
Yeah.
But it's weird to read all this. And then the thing about the Ukraine war, like I told you, all the Russian military, like, literature, it all reads like that. It's like, hey, you're fighting against, this kind of stuff, but you can't, but you can't argue with the truth of it. When you look at the United States and you look at, how tore up we are, how Oklahoma is passing laws to, arrest and fine drag queens that are, shaking their junk in front of kids. And then other states are saying, hey, we'll give you money to shake your junk in front of you. It's just, the United States is bananas. It really is. The stuff that Oklahoma's doing, I think, is awesome. You sent me the thing about the voting rights. I think that's awesome. That's a really cool thing. I think more states.
Arkansas is doing a lot too. Sarah Huckabee's, she's rolling out and starting with education, which I think is so important.
Yeah, but the voting thing I think is a big deal because there's no arguing. It's like all the arguing over, is the election stolen? Is this fake? Is these people scammers? Is this company working for Russia or what? Just separate it. Just say, hey, we're going to have our own state elections that are not connected, like they were talking about. And that's just like, it's literally like you're arguing with your kids, or you're arguing with someone about, and it's like about your friends you're playing, and it's your ball in your yard.
Yes.
They're like, hey,
It's
man,
not, it's like, it doesn't matter.
look,
If Jimmy wants to jump off a bridge, if Oregon wants to jump off a bridge, that's fine. But Oklahoma's not going to, you know? Yeah.
it's like, I want to play soccer. I want to play basketball. What's my ball,
Yeah.
dude? Oh, we're going to play this. You know,
Mhm.
that's it. So you can, I
Yeah.
mean, to separate the elections. So we're going to have our state elections run the way we want to run them. And then the federal elections will be completely separate.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? You can't argue with that, federal government. You can't.
Well, and that's how, if we go back to reading the Constitution, that's where it just got all turned upside down, and people were looking to the federal government to fix everything, and looking at them like overlords that, oh, well, if they fix everything, then they're the boss of us. And that is not how our forefathers intended it to be. It's
Mhm.
supposed to be small government. Our rights are supposed to be matter. Individual rights should matter. And it's not a democracy. It's not mob rule. It's
Yeah. I
not
think
majority
I saw
rule. Yeah.
some actor, and he was like, the government doesn't give you any rights. They're just supposed to be there to protect your rights, but they don't give you rights. And people think the government gives you rights,
No.
which they don't. They're
Now, I'm
only
so excited. Next year we start talking about the Magna Carta this year, but next year we get to tie it to the Constitution with homeschool. And so I don't know, I'm really excited about all that and getting Kenan involved with it. They have something in Oklahoma. I think it's nationwide. There's a program called Teen Pack. And it starts like as young as, I think, 8 or 9 maybe, but for a one-day experience. But the kids can go to the Capitol and learn how a bill is made, learn about the law, start getting involved, in that. And then they watch the older kids who they spend like a whole week like at camp, going into a lot more detail of it. And they actually like debate a bill, and then
It's like
present it and all that.
student government. Remember that?
Yes. Yeah. Except they don't do that in school anymore. But
You know?
so I found out about this, so I'm gonna get Cannon involved in that.
Yeah, that's crazy. That was a really cool thing. I mean, I never got
Mhm.
involved. That was cool. Something I've seen change, which is so sad. It goes along with that, government's giving you stuff and your
Mhm.
what you own. And I was like 16, and me and my girlfriend went to Austin to like party, and she was really smart. Which I didn't date all smart girls in high school, but she was like, "Hey, you want to go to the Capitol?" I'm like, "It's like 1 a.m." She's like, "Yeah, we just go and like hang out." I'm like, "What? We go to Capitol. Capitol, Texas is huge. It's beautiful.
Mhm.
It's like amazing." And there's just no one there. It's 1 a.m. And I'm like, I was thinking maybe she wanted to like have sex on the lawn or something. I didn't
Oh
know.
God.
And she's like,
Okay.
we walk up and she opens the door. It's open. And I'm like, it's not locked. She goes, no, it's our Capitol. Like we own this. This is ours. And the ideas were so foreign to me from growing up north.
Mm.
And we walk in, and it's it's gorgeous. There's like priceless art and marble, and it's just like beautiful. And then there's like, hey, that's the governor's office. That's all. It's all you're just walking around, and there's no police there. There's no security guards there. I'm like yelling and echoing, and it's like weird. Walking upstairs, and I got like vertigo because it was so high. But I thought it was the coolest thing, and I felt so empowered. Because I was like a stupid jock. I didn't know that much about government or anything, and I felt so connected to everything when I did that. Every time I go to Austin,
See,
like,
and I think that's
oh,
the idea of that program is like let the kids learn more about it, realize, because I hate the term when people say, "Oh, I don't talk about politics because that doesn't affect me." Yes, it does. Whether it's like saying that I don't believe in God,
hard to not hit those
so
people or
I
like
just
give them shit.
it
I'm not
doesn't
an I told you
affect
so
me.
person.
Like,
I am nowhere near an I told you so person. But when those
mhm.
people are like, "Hey, this is happening," I'm like, Yeah, man. Yeah.
Mhm.
It didn't affect you, remember? But now,
Yes.
but it's tough to not be an
It's
asshole.
going to affect you whether you want to take action or not. So
Well,
you
yeah,
can take action
because now
and
it's
be a
all
part of
locked
it.
up. You can't do that anymore. You can't
Mm.
go to the Capitol anymore. It's always surrounded by state troopers. There's always like those sawhorses, like a quarter mile
Mm.
outside. And it's so sad. And like people, especially kids today, they have no clue that like that's your house. You own it. It's, there
The
shouldn't be
people that
people
work in it
knocking
work
at
for
you.
you.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
which is nice because everyone's really all the people that are pissed about the State of the Union address. They're calling that out. They're like, I can't believe this dude came into the people's house and was talking this trash. Um, that's nice to hear that. And the whole argument. I don't know if you've been following the committee on weaponizing the federal government. What
Yes.
they're talking
Mhm.
about.
Yeah.
There's a lot of just like really basic things that they shouldn't even be arguing about, shouldn't be talking about, but they are, and it's good that they are. And the fact that they were telling you can't carry a gun into the Capitol, and a lot of the these senators are like, I've had death threats, and I'm an
Mhm.
American citizen. You're not going to tell me I'm not going to carry a gun.
Yeah, it's
And
actually my right. Yeah.
but the words that are being used, and with the ATF's pistol brace, the words that are being used, and other overreaches are,
Mhm.
I'm not going to do this. I will not comply with this law. And it's like, well, you're going to be a felon. I'm like, I'm not going to comply with this law. And that is what I've been
N Not if
hoping
it's
for
yeah, not if
so
it's a
long.
tyrannical,
Like
unconstitutional law.
everybody for years has just went along with whatever the government says. And
Mhm.
it's finally, it's nice to see people finally saying, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to stand up. And against a felony, that blows my mind because they wouldn't do it against just a rule, which wasn't even a law. They were completely going along with everything and just, okay, I'm a polite American, and people aren't standing for it anymore. There's law agencies, sheriff's departments and everything, giving
Yeah,
people instructions on how not to comply.
that's
And
awesome.
when I heard
They
Boebert,
were doing that towards the end of the Great Infection. They were helping people safely re-enter buildings, people go back to school, things like that. And that was all led by the sheriffs
and
because once again, they take an
Boebert
oath to the Constitution.
On the floor saying people are going to
Yeah.
have a lot more boating accidents because of this law. Am I right? I mean, the stuff she says is just the coolest. You know,
Yeah.
she's like, "Hey, we have, that America." She throws a stat out there, like America has 46% of all the guns in the world. Our citizens have 46% of all the guns in the world. We really got to get that number up, don't we, guys?
I
It
love
was
it.
so funny. Yeah, it's like all the liberals were like, "Oh my god," that they would say, "We have 46% of all the guns in the world. This is terrible." And she's like, "We got to get that number up. That is way too low."
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
I agree. I agree. Well, you want to jump over to your channel, and
yeah,
I'm really curious to hear your research on the balloons and the other stuff that
I
you
have
have.
some notes, and I'm also going to play some
Okay,
stuff from
and play some
a
videos.
channel that I've told you all about. The ADV China and the other guy.
Oh, okay.
Let me tell you what it is. I want you to Lao Y 86.
Okay.
Amazing channel. All right, I'll see you all over. Remember,
Well,
push the like
see you
button.
guys over there,
Oh
and
yeah.
give me a like over here before you go. And there's a link in the description for Sean's channel if you're wondering where we're going for the next half. See you there.